Good afternoon, sir. I am Rico Tang, and this is my explanation about Rule 110, Prosecution of an Offense. Rule 110 of the Philippine Rules of Court explain how criminal cases are started and what information is required in order to file a complaint or information in court. In Section 1, outlines how criminal action are initiated. If the offense are required preliminary investigation as specified in Rule 112, the complainant filed the complaint with the appropriate officer for investigation. For other offenses, the complaint or information can be filed directly in municipal trial court or with the office of the prosecutor. In Section 2, describe that the complaint or information must be in writing, in the name of the people of the Philippines, and list all persons responsible for the offense. In Section 3, defines complaint as a sworn written statement that charges someone with a crime, signed by the offended party, a peace officer, or a public officer enforcing the law violated. Section 4, define as information as a written accusation by the prosecutor charging a person with a crime and filed in court. In Section 5, discuss who is responsible for prosecuting criminal cases. Generally, the prosecutor directs the prosecution, but in some cases, such as municipal trial court, the offended party or a peace officer may handle the prosecution if the prosecutor is unavailable. In Section 6, explain that the complaint or information is insufficient if it includes the name of the offended, the accused, the designation of the offense, a description of the acts or omission that make up the offense, the name of the offended party, and the approximate date and place the offense was committed. In Section 7 says that the complaint or information must be state the accused name or, if unknown, use a fictitious name. In Section 8, state that the offense must be identified by the statute under which is it defined. In Section 9, require the complaint or information to describe the acts or omission that constitute the offense clearly and concisely, so that a person can be understand the charge. In Section 10, explain that the complaint or information should be indicate the place where the offense was committed, unless the location is critical element of the crime. In Section 11, clarifies that the exact date of the offense doesn't need to be stated unless it is a key element of a crime. In Section 12, say that the complaints or information must be named the person who was offended or describe them if their name is unknown. In Section 13, prohibits charging more than one offense in a single complaint, except when the law prescribed a single punishment for multiple offense. In Section 14, discusses the amendment or substitution of the complaint or information. Before the accused plead, amendments can be made without a court approval, but after the plead, amendments need a court approval. Amendments cannot downgrade the offense or exclude accused persons without the prosecutor motion and court leave. In Section 15, explain where the criminal action is to be filed. Generally, it should be filed in a court where the offense was committed, or in the case of a vehicle crime in vehicles or vessel, it may be filed in any jurisdiction the vehicle or vessel passed through. In Section 16, allow the offended party to intervene in the criminal action if they are seeking civil damage in the same case. Let's proceed to Rule 111, prosecution of civil action. In Rule 111, explain how civil action related to criminal cases are handled. When a criminal case is filed, in any claim for civil liability, like damage caused by the crime, is automatically included unless the victim explicitly waives it, file it separately, or reserve the right to do so. This means the court will address both the criminal and civil aspect together, saving time and effort. However, if the victim filed the civil action separately, the proceeding on the claim are paused until the criminal cases is resolved to avoid conflict decision. In some cases, civil action can proceed independently, especially if they involve issues like negligence, fraud, or violence of personal rights under Article 32, 33, 34, and 2176 of the Civil Code. These do not depend on the outcome of the criminal case, but the victim cannot recover damage twice for the same acts. If the accused died during the case, the civil action tied to the crime is extinguished. However, independent civil action or claims based on other obligation can still continue against the accused, state, or legal representative. Finally, these rules ensure that civil liability arising from criminal acts is resolved either alongside or separately from criminal cases, depending on the victim's choice. Rule 112, Preliminary Investigation. In Rule 112, focus on the process of determining if there is enough evidence to bring a case to court. A preliminary investigation is required for serious crime where the penalty is at least 6 years and 1 day. It ensured that only cases with probable cause proceed to trial. The investigation is conducted by prosecutor or authorized officer. The complainant submits affidavit and evidence, while the respondent can reply the counter affidavit if the probable cause exists. The prosecutor filed the case in court. If not, the complaint is dismissed. The rule ensures that fairness and prevents baseless cases from clogging the courts. Let's proceed in Rule 113, Arrest. In Rule 113, define arrest as taking a person into custody to face charges. Arrest can be made with or without a warrant. With a warrant, a judge issued a warrant and the arresting officer must inform the accused of the charges and show the warrant unless doing so is unsafe. Without a warrant, allow when a crime is committed in the officer's presence, immediately after the crime is committed, or when an escaped prisoner is apprehended. Arrest must be conducted without unnecessary force, and the person must be brought to the nearest police station promptly. Let's proceed in Rule 114, Bail. Rule 114 governs bail, which allow an accused person to remain free while awaiting trial by providing a guarantee to appear in court. Bail can be in the form of cash, property, or surety bonds. The amount is determined based on factors like the accused's financial facility, the severity of the crime, and the risk of flight. Some crimes, such as capital offense with strong evidence or guilt, are not bailable. The rule also covers the cancellation of forfeiture of bail if the accused violates its condition. Let's proceed in Rule 115, Right of the accused. In Rule 115 outlines the fundamental rights of the accused in criminal cases. This includes the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, to be informed of the charges, to have a lawyer, and to be present at trial. The accused can cross-examine witnesses, present evidence, and refuse to testify against themselves. They are also entitled to be a speedy, fair, and public trial and can appeal decision of a law by law. These rights ensure that the accused is treated fairly through the legal process. Let's proceed in Rule 116, Arraignment and Plea. In Rule 116 deals with the arraignment where the accused is formally informed of the charges and asked to plead guilty or not guilty. And the arraignment must be in a language that accused understand. If the accused plead guilty, the court ensures the plea is voluntarily and understand its consequences, especially for serious offense. If the accused refuses to plead, the court enters not guilty plea on their behalf. The rule also allows plea bargaining, where the accused can plead guilty to a lesser offense without offended party and prosecutor consent. Let's proceed in Rule 117, Motion to Quash. Rule 117 allows the accused to challenge the complaint or information before pleading. A motion to quash can be filed on grounds like lack of jurisdiction, insufficient allegation, or double jeopardy. If the motion is granted, the case is dismissed, but a new case may be filed unless barred by law. This rule ensures that only valid cases proceed to trial, protecting the accused from unnecessary legal proceeding. Let's proceed in Rule 118, Pre-Trial. Rule 118 makes pre-trial mandatory to simplify and expedite trial. During pre-trial, the court and the parties discuss matters like plea bargaining, evidence marking, stipulation of facts, and objection to evidence. Agreement made during pre-trial must be written and signed to be binding. The pre-trial process reduces the scope of dispute, making the trial more efficient and focused. Rule 119, Trial. Rule 119 governs the trial process, where the prosecution and defense present their cases. After arraignment, the accused is given 15 days to prepare for trial, which should start within 30 days of the pre-trial order. Trial are continuous to avoid delay, and evidence is presented in an ordered manner. The prosecution present in case first, following by the defense. This rule ensures the accused's right to speedy trial and prevents unnecessary delay in resolving cases. Let's proceed in Rule 1-1, Filing of Criminal Complaints. Rule 1-1 of the Philippine Rules of Court focus on the procedure of filing criminal complaints. It starts with the process of preliminary investigation, where the prosecutor reviews the evidence submitted by the complainant, the person claims to have been wrong, to determine if there is enough basis to charge someone with a crime. If the prosecutor finds sufficient evidence and information is filed in court and the case moves forward. If the evidence is inadequate, the case can be dismissed. These rules ensure the criminal cases are filed in court only when there is enough proof to support the charge, preventing unnecessary trial or wrongful accusation. The purpose is to protect individuals from facing criminal charge without sufficient evidence. Let's proceed in Rule 126, Issuance of Search Warrant. In Rule 126 pertains to the issuance of search warrants, which are legal document that gives a law enforcement officials that authority to search someone's property such as their home or vehicle for evidence of a crime. According to this rule, law enforcement officer must present enough information to a judge proving that there is probable cause to believe that the evidence related to the crime will be found in the place they wish to search. If the judge agree, they issue a search warrant, allowing the search to proceed. This rule ensures that the searches are conducted legally and protect individuals from unreasonable or unjustified intrusion, balancing the need for law enforcement to gather evidence while respecting personal privacy. That's all. Thank you, sir.